Liberation has to be claimed from each of us. We have to claim our birthright. We have to really discover and insist on being who we are. Hi, Ellie Weber. Welcome back to our channel, my dear family and friends. A lot to talk about. I want to talk about the biblical nature of this conflict. We're coming into the final days. We're coming to the end of the war of Gog and Magog, and we're coming into Pesach, into Passover. We're leaving Purim, which represents a tremendous victory. I'm going to get into all this and explain the depths of the meaning that this is biblical. Please like and subscribe to the channel, smash the like button so I can send you other videos, let you know when the live meetings are taking place twice a day. Check out everything in the show more. We got some cool products. If you got this, man, we got some stuff that'll help you out and clean up your DNA. So let's rock. I see a lot of information in some of the Patriot channels. They seem to get the dates mixed up on the Jewish calendar, and that's kind of a shame because this is a biblical thing. This is it, and it is man. It is about humanity against dark forces, and it's really about the war of Gog and Magog. Now, for centuries, they've been arguing over who is Gog and Magog, and now we can clearly see who the enemy is. I'm not going to say it out, but you can figure it out. It's spelled like GOOG, right? LE. That's the AI force that we've been fighting against for many, many thousands of years. Now, in the Chumash, in the Old Testament, in the Torah, they talk about how Amalek, that the enemy that is doubt, that is fear, that is anger, must be wiped out completely. If you don't understand this, please come to our live meetings. We can get more granular, but this is a huge war for the freedom of humanity that started in the Garden of Eden when the other side got into our genetics, when the snake, so to speak, and it's not just so to speak. If you do your research, you'll understand why they're called reptiles, how the reptiles got into our DNA. But we are coming out of this. Now, on Purim, which was March 7th, we just ended. That is a commemoration of the victory of the Jewish people over their attackers. There was a guy named Haman back in Babylonia, in Iran, in Persia, and he wanted to wipe out all the Jewish people. Remember, they'd been exiled from their temple. He wanted to wipe them all out. And for a year, there was a kind of a struggle, a political battle went back and forth. I think it's very important that these things, that we keep the idea of a year in mind, because this flood also took a year. From the time it started raining till it stopped raining was not a year, but the whole experience was a year. I'm not sure. I'll have to get more granular at another time. I just want to really stress the biblical nature of this struggle. We are fighting the final war of Gog and Magog. And I just told you who Gog is. It's very clear. It's called Gog, right? It couldn't be more simple, couldn't be more in your face. And that's the way this enemy is. The top echelon, I believe, has already been removed. The middle people are probably mostly, in control. It's the legions that are running our governments, running our medical, all these things, financial institutions, educational institutions. I think the most important thing to remember from everything that I'm saying, and I want to get into one more point before I conclude, is that this is a, thousands of year, maybe a 6,000-year-old struggle from the Garden of Eden, from creation. When we are liberated, we will be completely liberated for what I'm hearing is 1,000 years, for the continuance of humanity. And they were able to, infest, let's say, 70% of the people with some very evil things. I want to talk about now the 9th plague in Egypt was the plague of darkness. That was finished. The plague of darkness on our calendar today on Purim. So the plague of darkness has ended. At the same time, Purim took place. Purim means that the decree against the Jewish people, the hunters became the hunted, and those who were trying to attack the Jews were all taken down. So it's very important to understand also in the plague of darkness, let's say 80% of the people chose not to go into freedom, just like 70% of people chose to do this, okay, rather than deal with it on a long-term basis. But there are cures. I have two of them or three of them in the Shomor, and I'm sure there are lots of other cures. The main thing to understand is that we are a godly force. I was hearing this morning how when two people come together, there's like a third power. That's called godliness. That means when we come together as humanity, remember they tried to tell us to stay 6 feet apart. That's because they wanted to keep us out of our power. But we have tremendous power that we've been so defeated. We've been so beaten down for so many thousands of years through debt slavery, through medical slavery, through financial slavery. All these things have kept us from our own power. But we have just finished Purim. That was March 7th, and the plague of darkness is over. We saw what happened to the Georgia Guidestones. They made it very clear what they wanted to do to us. They wanted to eliminate 95% of us, but that didn't happen. Okay, thank God. Thanks to the plan of the White Hats. And if you don't know what that is, keep coming. I will give more information. There are plenty of people who understand what this is. There are all kinds of websites where you can get intel. The problem, I believe, with a lot of this sort of granular intel where they deal with dates, for one thing, they don't know the Jewish calendar. They're pulling out dates that really make no sense. You really have to go by the Jewish calendar and understand this is a biblical event. So leaving Purim, it's now about approximately 30 days to Pesach, to Passover. Passover represents a liberation with the help of godliness. Like Purim, where there were no open revealed miracles, everything happened within nature. Passover is above nature. God came down, he killed out all the firstborn. That's the last plague. They had a civil war. The bad guys started fighting with themselves, which I'm sure is happening behind the scenes. And we're coming into a liberation that's instigated by God above. Now, I don't believe personally that this will be the final liberation. And from my own research, I'm looking more to really to Rosh Hashanah and Tishrei, which represents the people's efforts, that we do effort and we are liberated. I mean, it's a kind of a different idea between being liberated miraculously from above and us liberating ourselves. I believe in this struggle, and the end of it, we each have to liberate ourselves. That no miracle, no EBS. I'm not saying the EBS is not going to happen. I'm not saying we're not going to have 10 days of darkness. I'm not saying we're not going to have a scare event. I believe we will. But at the end of the struggle, it's up to each of us to claim our own power, to understand our birthright as humanity, to cleanse our DNA if it's been infiltrated, or protect your DNA and work on your personal ascension. There are a lot of things I'm noticing in my own life as we come into these final days of the war against Gog. Though a lot of things are cropping up. Some relationship issues are coming back from very old things that happened many years ago. But everything is kind of coming to the surface. They say that Mashiach, the Messiah, will have a little bit of leprosy on his skin, meaning there'll just be a little bit more to fix. The Rebbe said that we've already done everything we need to do, and we just have to just keep going forward. He said, the buttons have been shined. We've been shining them too much. And I respect the Rebbe's opinion 100%. But I think this has to play out, and it has to come from us. Liberation has to be claimed from each of us. We have to claim our birthright. We have to really discover and insist on being who we are. In other words, figure out just without thinking. Don't think so much. Stay into your intuitive sense, stay into your imaginative sense, pay attention to things that just sort of pop in your mind. But I would say that everyone here, everyone certainly that's listening to me right now, should be thinking about, what do you really like to do the most? What brings you real joy? And then do it. Like, for me, it's making videos. I love doing this. I do this all day long. I really do very little. Well, I do other things to maintain my physical existence, but I'm really focused on making videos because it brings me tremendous joy. Now, I didn't know when I was a little boy, I didn't think we even had videos then, that this was going to be it. But I knew that I had some kind of communication leadership role to play in this struggle in my life. And you too, I'm sure you have reoccurring themes in your life that happen over and over again. This is a time to empower yourself. This is a time to liberate yourself. This is a time to break the bonds of slavery, of debt slavery, of taxation without representation, of medicine that is not designed to cure the issue. They just work on the symptoms and they make things sometimes worse. About education, that's really more about indoctrination. We're moving past all of this. We're moving into total liberation. We will be building our own cities. We will have technologies you can't believe. Nasara Jasara will kick into place. We will be fruitful and multiply. The Lord is our shepherd. We shall not lack. So just remember, this is biblical. And as a biblical event, nothing happens overnight. And nothing really good that you work for. I think Mr. T even said this, that anything that you really want and need to attain takes a lot of work. Once you discover what your true purpose is, once you remember who you are and what you came to do here, then you have to do it, right? Action without works. I mean, you have to just do and do and do and just make it your life. And that's how you bring joy to yourself, joy to the planet, joy to those around you. If you find yourself in a negative space, come to our community meetings, or there are all kinds of wonderful ways, self-hypnosis. I always encourage. We have people on my channel in the show more who have channels to help you liberate your subconscious, because this is a deep inner struggle that we are going to win with God's help, with the help of the white hats. We will be fruitful and multiply. We will repopulate the planet in a feeling of love, cooperation, joy, comfort, and fear will be defeated once and for all and completely this time. God's very clear in the Chumash, in the Old Testament, that Amalek must be completely destroyed, that fear and doubt have to be completely annihilated as we walk into this new age, the Great Awakening, the age of Mashiach, the Messiah, the age of Aquarius. Please like and subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, come to our live meetings, check out the show more, all our cool products. May the force be with you. May God bless and protect you. And let's get out there with joy and with a big smile on our face and rock the world.